welcome back to video 2 of the Ignite Your Creative Fire video series. I'm Dr. Minette Riordan. I am your host and creative guide as we walk through a 5-step process to ignite your creative fire, to unblock whatever may be stopping that creative spark from flaming up brightly and bringing you more joy and passion to your purpose and projects. And I want to start off by sharing a fun story about Yolanda. So I met Yolanda a number of years ago at a networking event. I was speaking at an event on how to speak to grow your business. And at the event, we were talking about speaking and how valuable it was. And there were a bunch of people in the room who had attended one of the 3-day events that I was hosting at the time. And everybody kept telling her, Yolanda, you need to go. This would be great for where you are in your business. It'll really help you. And she's listening to them describe it, and she's feeling into my energy. And she's like, I'm not sure it's a match for me. I'm not creative. And everybody kind of convinced her. And I think she ended up signing for the event. And she still got there on day 1 of this 3-day event thinking, I'm not sure I belong here. I'm not sure I'm in the right place. I'm not creative. So over the years, she had worked in a variety of careers. She had helped grow a big HR company. She was a pastor and administrator in a large church community. And she was great at spreadsheets and numbers, but she's also an incredible people person. And by the end of day 1 of this event, I cannot tell you how much fun she was having reconnecting to her business through creativity. And at all of my events, there's always a lot of markers and crayons and very playful ways to get some of the deep thinking work done that we need to do when thinking about our businesses. And I had this big aha and awareness about how many of us don't believe that we are creative. And I actually find it kind of heartbreaking. I've heard so many stories like Yolanda's, where people, like we talked about in video 1, they hear those you can't draw, you're not talented, you're not artistic, you can't act, you can't sing, you can't. So we make this assumption that because we don't excel at a particular form of creative expression, then we're not creative. And the truth is that we all have an innate creative brilliance. And that creative brilliance could be with people, it could be with organization, which was Yolanda's gift, that and people, could be in leadership, and it could be with numbers. My husband is a programmer and a software engineer, and he's incredibly creative with programming, his ability to solve problems. Remember, we talked about creativity is a lot about solving problems and putting things together in new ways and using our imaginations to visualize something completely different. So I want you to think about, where are you showing up fully in your work, in your career, that brings you the most joy or the most sense of flow, that you can get lost in time when you're doing this particular activity. It's oftentimes that our creative brilliance flows from something that seems so effortless to us that we don't even identify it as our brilliance. And other people will say, oh my, you're so good at ABC, XYZ. And we're like, oh, it's so easy. Can't everyone do that? So for me, one of the areas of my creative brilliance is in writing. And so I just assumed that everybody could write. We all went to school, and most of us went to university if we're in a growing professional career. And you would think that we would all love to write. At least that was the assumption I was making, and I was so wrong. And I had to really own that words tend to flow very easily for me, but that other people's creative brilliance flows in completely different ways. So in the case of Yolanda, we really identified what her creative genius was and how she was able to connect with people to help them set goals and then create the perfect plan of action to achieve those goals. So she truly is a visionary woman leader in her own right, but it was a big struggle to help her get over the hurdle of creative confidence to really believe in herself as creative. And now she tells me she never goes anywhere without a bag of colorful markers. She is a fan of a process called bullet journaling, which is this really colorful, creative form of planning. There's a reason why planners are so popular today. They become a form of creative expression for many, many people. And it's a beautiful form of creative expression. not my favorite. It takes way too much time. I love planning, but I'm all about economy of time when it comes to things like that. Now, when it comes to painting or having playtime in my studio, I can get lost for hours and hours and hours. These are some of my paintings on the wall behind me. And what I noticed was that when I was painting, I was releasing judgment. I wasn't doing it for work. I was totally doing it for play, and it fed and nourished my spirit. And one of the ways that I started to build my confidence with my creative abilities, and I helped Yolanda to build hers as well, was step 2 of our process, which is what I call congruence. And congruence simply means, the definition of congruence is harmony or agreement. And it's that feeling that we have when we feel completely aligned with our head, our heart, and our gut. In fact, the alignment is so strong that we can't not pursue a particular goal, a particular calling, a particular work, or a particular adventure. We just know that we have to go forward no matter what. Well, this is another form of creativity, is finding the best avenue, the best course of action, which we're going to talk about in video 3, to move forward. But first, we have to get really clear about our core values. And you might wonder what core values have to do with creativity. Well, here's the thing. I like to think about core values like those little bumpers in a bowling lane. If you've ever seen kids bowling or taken your own kids to bowl, when young kids bowl, they put up these bumpers so that the balls stay in the lane and don't spend all the time in the gutter. And the ball kind of rolls down, going back and forth from bumper to bumper until it finally gets to the pins and ideally knocks down a few of them. Well, those bumpers for us are our core values. They're the things that keep us from rolling into the gutters of life and continuing on a direct path to wherever we're going. And one reason you may be here today is because you loved what I said in the ad, that your soul is longing for more creative expression, that you're looking to bring back meaning and purpose to your life in a way that maybe feels a little bit lost right now, and you're not sure how to do that. I would invite you to just reflect for a moment on what your key core values are. Core values are things like honesty, authenticity, creativity is definitely on my list. One of the things I had to work through was when my husband and I did this process together as a couple, and he was arguing to put fun on the list, and all my values were really serious and deep: respect and loving kindness. And he agreed with those values as well, but he argued for fun. He said, fun is how I want to live our lives. It's how I want to spend time with our kids. And that shifted something really important for me, because I realized that there were a lot of places in my life where I wasn't having fun. At that point, our kids were about 10 and 7. I'd owned my publishing company for 7 or 8 years, and I was starting to feel pretty burnt out and trying to figure out what was going on. Why was I feeling disconnected from myself, from my amazing husband of a decade? What was happening? And it was that I wasn't indulging in play. And I think so often we get caught up in the do, gotta go, the whole cult of being busy, that we forget how important rest, renewal, and play are to our own sense of fulfillment and meaning. And by reflecting on your core values, it can bring you back to the core of what matters the most to you. And you can look at, where in my life am I living completely in alignment with my values? And where am I maybe being loosey-goosey, or I've forgotten how important something is to me? So again, step 1 was clarity. What brings you joy when it comes to creative play? What would you like to be doing more of? Step 2 is congruence, really digging deep to explore what some of the stories are, what your core values are, and to really look at your core values in connection with creativity to see, again, where do you need to bring some new activities into your life, or bring some new meaning in your life by just reflecting on what matters to you. So we are 2 steps through our 5-step journey. And in video number 3, I'm going to share step 3. That was a little redundant. In video 3, I'm going to share some of my favorite creative practices that are now a core part of my routine and have been for a number of years, and how they've supported me. And I'm going to share the next step in our process together as well. And I'm curious, as you're thinking about congruence and core values, you're probably spending more time, just like Yolanda, being creative than you think you are. And so I would ask, are creativity and innovation a regular part of your workday already? And you just aren't thinking of it that way? And just answer yes and no, yes and no, yes or no in the chat below, and let me know if you're seeing that, yes, you are creative. And I will see you over in video 3. And remember, if at any time you want to skip the video series and just schedule some time to talk with me personally about your own courageous creative journey, just click the button that says Talk to Minette and we'll get that scheduled. And I will see you over in video 3.